Hi, guys. Welcome to Friday Night Hangout. I am so excited to be here. I've been excited to do with you guys. Oh my gosh. You know, this this show is kind of a runoff. I used to do a live show in my private Facebook group called Soulful Living Tribe. And Facebook has gotten really kind of touchy with stuff, and I did something wrong and I got shut out of my Facebook. And so I decided I was going to move it over here to YouTube and move it into the afternoon so that we could all be together in the afternoon and just hang out. Hey, Adele. And I just want to hang out. This is going to be like a totally free flowing hang out. Let's talk about what we want to talk about. As we get going, we'll kind of start getting some topics and some things that we want to talk about, and I'll gather information for you. And I've already started doing that because I've got somebody who's going to come visit and be on the show at the end of January talking about CE5, which is an extraterrestrial, I think UFO ET contact kind of stuff. So I'm finding out more about it, and she's actually going to have me on her show in February. So it's going to be really, really fun. Hey, Jean, welcome, guys. So it's going to be really fun. I'm going to have visitors come in and talk with us. We're going to talk about what we want to talk about, and this is like an open Q&A. We're not doing readings. That's on Tuesday. I don't want to do free readings all the time because it takes a lot of energy, frankly. It wipes me out when I have to do that. But it's fun, and I like doing that for you guys because sometimes we need that, Sometimes the guys need that guidance. But this is really going to be about ask questions about spiritual stuff or paranormal or mystical or any of that kind of stuff, because there's so much to talk about. Is really what it is. There's so much to talk about. And I really want to get a feel for what you guys want to talk about. I really want to get a feel. So one of the first things that I want to do, and also another part of this, which is kind of a little bit of a 180 from all the spiritual stuff, is something else that I kind of am kind of into, but I don't want to get into too far, is that kind of like some of this true crime stuff that's going on. And what got me started with this is there were 4 kids up at the University of Idaho in Moscow that were killed. And it's been like this huge mystery and this huge thing. And it wouldn't have caught my attention probably if it hadn't have been 4 kids, college kids, but also my people are from Idaho. And so it hit kind of close to home, right? My mom's side of the family are all from Idaho, and my aunts and cousins are all up there still. And so it really got my attention, but there was something very energetically, God, I don't even know the words. It was something more than just a crime that happened. There was a lot of energy. The information on that thing went worldwide like a flippin' fire, like none of the other things do. And I really feel like that it holds a spiritual component. It has a component that is a part of what is happening on our ascension process, on the shift of ages. It has to do with that, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I wanted to talk with you guys about, see if anybody has heard about it, see if what's going on. And another reason, part of the reason I like this is I studied with someone, not for a long time, but I took a couple classes with a medium called AJ Barrera, and I studied about working with missing persons. And so I did work with the Canadian Mounted Police. The CM is the Canadian Mounted CMPT or something like that. Anyways, up in British Columbia, helping to find a couple of kids that have gone missing. So I've done a little bit of that work professionally. And I want to share with you guys what happened with this Idaho thing. And I've kind of been talking about it, and I've shared a little bit, but when all this happened, and it happened right before Thanksgiving, it was November 13th, early in the morning, November 13th. And I'd heard about it, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible, 4 young kids, 2 were 20 and 2 were 21. They were college kids. It looked like they came from really good families. And I know up in Idaho, Idaho is, first of all, it's kind of Mormon country. So I know a lot of people have weird thoughts about Mormons, but Mormons are really good people. And they're really like good, pure souls. You don't see a lot of murder and mayhem and theft and corruption and all that kind of stuff within the Mormon communities. They're really about purity and being good and taking care of your family. And, they even have some of the things that people think are weird, like they don't drink caffeine. They're really, slow on sugar. They're careful about what they put in their body. And back in the day, it was like, oh my God, that's so weird. But now it's kind of like you understand. And it's really cool because hey, Karen, when we go up there, when I drive up there to see family, and my son and my grandpa were in Montana. So it's like my people all up there. Everybody up there has like crystal clear eyes, and their skin is like so beautiful and pure. And there's a purity up there. And so for this to have happened up there, it really rocked that community, the whole state, the whole area. And I think it was something a lot deeper than just what happened. And I think that it is kind of a ringing of the bell of this light and dark. Hey, Miss Jules. Hi, honey. Welcome. And I think that this whole thing happened up there was a ringing of the bell to really get us aware that we are living in I'm going to say it, kind of a war zone between light and dark, right? There's really this gnarly stuff that's going on. But the other reason I'm bringing this up is when I heard about what had happened up there, really close to home. Well, it was either the next night or the night after that. I woke up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? The magic hour. And the kids that had been murdered were there, and they were trying to get my attention, and they were like just frantic and trying to get attention. And they gave me a bunch of information as to what was going on. They showed me in shadow, because when it happened, it was dark. And so the view that I got was from one of the girls who saw the guy stabbing the other girl. And they told me, who it was related to. And I'm not going to give a lot of information on here because they've now caught a guy who is very much like the picture that I saw. But I don't want to be naming some of the stuff that I have because they've really put a gag order on everything. And so I'm not going to do that. But I kind of want to bring the awareness in here, because what we can do is we can pray for these people. We can pray for the light to come into, especially those souls. I did a lot of work with the kids and helping them cross over, helping them get calm, helping them kind of reconnect with their family and with their essence, not their bodies, but their essence, and to get them to kind of move through to the light so they'd be safe, so they could come back and be with the family. So there's things that we could do to help and to be of service in these things, which is part of the reason I want to include kind of some true crime sort of things that are happening that we can maybe bring some peace and some harmony to as a collective, as a community, because that's who we are. That's what my YouTube channel is about, is community. It's about being here and being together and being able to get together and chit chat and talk and like do the readings on Tuesday like we do. And so one of the things that I want to ask you guys today, since it's our first time we're doing Hangout, which I'm like, woohoo, is what do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to talk about paranormal? If you want to talk about paranormal, what do you want to talk about? I'm not really big on doing like massive hauntings, but there's a lot of other kind of paranormal stuff at a lot of places that have paranormal activity. One of them is Skinwalker Ranch up in Utah. There's another place up there that's called, I think it's Walker Ranch, up there right near Skinwalker Ranch. That has a lot of activity. And there's places around that have activity, and we can talk about that kind of stuff, tap into it if we want to. And also, maybe there's some beings that need to be crossed over or loved. And also, have you guys had any paranormal activity? That's the other part is I want you guys to be able to share and be like, yeah, you know what? When I was, 8 years old, I had a ghost in my room, that kind of stuff. So we can do that under the paranormal. We can always talk about spiritual stuff. I do that, and Sharon and I do that on New Earth Rising on Thursday. Do a lot of that on Spiritual Chit Chat. We can flow that into Friday Night Hangout. Or, we can do other things. We can talk about ETs. We can talk about UFOs. Have you guys seen UFOs? Have you guys had ET interconnections? I want to know. I want to know. And if you guys don't want to be talking on the chat, you guys can always contact me later and let me know if you had something that you want to talk about, but maybe you don't want to put it in the chat because it is on YouTube, but people can't really see you and see the chat, I don't think. And I can turn the chat off once the show is over as well. So there's all different kinds of things. And like, what was the other thing? There's paranormal, and also on YouTube, on the tabs that are crossed, you see like upcoming video, live, shorts, blah, blah. There's a tab, it's called community. You guys all go over there to that community tab, and I'm using that kind of like I do Facebook, where I put memes up, I ask questions, I notify you guys of things that are going on. And right now I've got a poll up there of what do you guys want to talk about? Right? So go over there, put your 2 cents in, and we can get going. Also, do you want to talk about angels, archangels, ascended masters? Do you want to talk about meditation? Do you want to talk about healing? And each week, we can talk about something different. And so give me a lineup of what you guys want, and I will get it together and we can chat about all this stuff. And a lot of stuff, it's like we can chat about it. We can maybe chat about it a couple weeks in a row, or chat about it, come back around to it. I want this to be super, super fun. Yeah, Jules is saying, I've always found true crime to be interesting, especially when it's left unresolved. Yeah, that is something. Cold cases is something that's fascinated me too. And the cool thing is having an intuitive look into it is always interesting. And all of you guys are intuitive too. So we may even be able to do a little, I don't know, intuitive sleuthing on things on our own here too. You never know, because we can do anything we want to. This is our show. This isn't my show. This is our show for you guys to play, right? Um Adele is saying the night Rodney King had his attack, got out of bed, got in my car, drove over to where he was. Interesting. Wow. Yeah. Why can't we just be friends? God bless him. God bless him. He made a statement that rang around the world and rings within the hearts and minds of so many people still. And that's been in like the 80s now, I think, if not earlier. Trying to think when that was. And yeah, so it's like, wow, wow. And we can also talk about like being clairvoyant, being intuitive. What experiences have you guys had? So there's so many different things. And I really want this to be a place where we can share and ask questions and do stuff together. Also star seeds. And that was something that I wanted to ask tonight. Do you guys know? So it was 1990. Yep. So do you guys know what star seeds are? And I know a lot of you have heard me talking about this. Do you guys know what star seeds are? And do you think you're a star seed? I kind of want to start with that. It's like, let me know in the chat. Do you know what star seeds are? Do you understand what that word is and what that means? Because I think this is a good place to start, because it's a big thing right now. And there's a lot of star seeds are here. And a lot of star seeds don't know that they're star seeds. They don't even know what it is. In a way, we're all star seeds because we do come from the stars. We are genetically created from extraterrestrial beings and some terrestrial beings, but most of us have primarily extraterrestrial DNA genetics, that kind of stuff. So Jules is saying cell phone cameras have changed so much in our society. Interesting how the camera has light and it's shedding a light on things otherwise hidden. I know. Isn't it cool? It's like things are videoed. When you have a video of something that has happened, that is like irrefutable truth. Now, there's some people who've gotten really good at editing those videos. That's the flip side, right? That's the dark side of that kind of stuff. But it really is. It's absolutely fascinating. And the other thing, Jules, that I think is really cool is the cell phones that we have now, because I finally had to break down. I had an iPhone 6 and it was slowing down and I had to replace the battery, but I loved it and I knew how to work it. And they kept wanting to update it. And it's been like about a year ago. And they kept wanting to update it. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. And then one night in the middle of the night, I didn't even get permission. And stupid iPhone, updated it and it shut my phone down. So I had to get the 13. But you know what's really neat is that these higher grade phones, they pick up on ghosts. I'm getting chills. They pick up on orbs. They pick up on a lot of other things that we don't normally pick up on. They pick up on kind of like um, light fractals that are interdimensional beings. They pick up on even Stargate kind of things too. So it's super cool. Thank you for bringing that up. That's really cool, Miss Jules, because it's so true. It's so true. We have so much more to work with. We have technology that is way behind where it should be, but a lot of that hidden stuff is coming out. And that's another thing that we can talk about is hidden technology, things that are being revealed right now. We're having all kinds of stuff, Tesla stuff. We're starting to find out that there was a civilization called Tartaria, and Tartaria had lights back in the late 1700s, early 1800s. Their cities were lit up with electrical type lights. And all these buildings had spires, these tall spires on the top. They all had these beautiful buildings too. All these spires where they collected the ether. And another thing that's so cool, guys, is in these, especially the homes, but in even the buildings and everything, where they had fireplaces, what looked like fireplaces, they're starting to realize these fireplaces have this metal backing and this metal around it, and realizing that these fireplaces didn't have coal or wood burning in them, that they were actually being heated by gathering the ether from the spires and bringing it down and creating radiant heat. So the rooms in these buildings and these homes were created by radiant heat, by heat coming through this metal. They weren't burning wood. Isn't that crazy? And something happened late 1800s, early 1900s. It might be the whole 1919 when all those guys came in and started taking over stuff, and all that stuff was taken down. But we have pictures now. We have stories of it. We have old videos, cameras. I don't even know what they called them. Pictures, moving pictures. They used to say of all this stuff, and it's all starting to come out. So if they had it back then, we can have it now again. Another thing that's really, really cool is, I don't know if you guys have heard about this thing that's coming back, and it's along the same lines, where you can, when you plant, like if you do a garden, or like I don't have a garden, I don't have a very green thumb, but I have plants in my house. And if you want them to grow better and grow more lush and healthy, copper is a huge thing that helps to bring nutrients and life force energy into the soil and into the plants. And what you do, check this out. Check out how easy this is. You get a wood dowel, you get real thin copper wiring, right? That you can get like at a jewelry store. You got to make sure it's copper. And you wrap it around the dowel, wrap it kind of thick at the bottom, and then wrap it kind of loose around the dowel. Leave a little bit at the top, and you stick that dowel in the soil. And that copper brings in etheric energy down that copper. Copper is super conductive. That's why you have to make sure it's copper, and into the soil. and brings that life force energy into the soil and feeds the roots and the plants. We've all been growing things thinking they need nitrogen and oxygen and all this stuff. And what has been starving our plants is the etheric unseen world. Isn't that fascinating? I want to talk more about that kind of stuff too. Yeah. Yeah, Adele, we do. Yep. And and that's okay. Everything can be used by the light and the dark. All this kind of stuff that we have, it's unconditional. And so we use it for what we want to use it. And we don't worry so much about what they're doing because our power is a greater power. So the radiant heat does feel better. I have a radiant sauna too. It makes a difference and it holds on to energies and frequencies that do calm the brain. And we can talk about that kind of stuff too. I'm actually getting some stuff together that we can talk about in a couple of weeks about brain waves and all that kind of stuff too. So we can talk about that kind of stuff. So let me ask you guys. I have okay, oh, and really quickly, I want to talk about rules here. Be nice. No fighting. If anybody gets mean, I'm just going to cut you off. I'm not even going to warn you. Okay. Be polite. Give everybody a chance to talk. Um, and also, when you're making comments, and nobody's doing this now, but like when you're making comments, and I notice that some people come in and do this, when you're making comments, put a whole thought in the bubble. Don't do little like, and then I thought, and maybe we could go over and the horse and do that. Because what you do is you're taking over the chat and that's rude because it's I've got a lot of chat going through and I want to be able to read everybody's thing. And so a couple of weeks ago, no, about a month ago, I had somebody doing that. And I finally just went, no. And I just blocked them and they got really mad. They came back at me later. But I want to see that's one of the rules. We want to be polite. Everybody here matters. And we're here as a community, supporting and loving each other and coming together to be able to talk about this stuff. And if you're somebody who wants to take over the conversation and be the only one who's talking and whose voice is the only one that matters, that's rude and it's mean and it's disrespectful. And I won't have that here. Everybody gets a voice. And if we don't agree with each other, that's okay. Something we have to learn is to respect other opinions, even if they're different than ours. And this is something that I have been really a stickler on with all of my shows because it's okay to have a different thing. And we've gotten humanity, especially it seems like, and maybe it's just gotten more evident, but it seems like since the pandemic, since the big lockdown, um, people are just like mean. If you don't think what I think, you're bad. No, you're not bad. You just think differently, and it's okay. We all think differently. We're all different aspects of God. We're all, fractals that are here to experience different things and to really love each other and respect each other. And if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. Keep it positive, keep it supportive, keep it loving, and it'll all be okay. But I am warning everybody right now. I know, Miss Jules, I do not have a cream thumb. It's funny. My daughter comes over and she's like, "Oh my God, Mom, are you going to kill every plant in your house?" I'm like, "That's why I had you, child." But yeah, we're going to make this be a place where we learn to get along, where we learn to have different views, and we learn to love and respect each other either way. Because creating a community like that, anytime you do that, it begins to flow out into the world around us. And that is what I'm about. That's what I'm about. Being kind, being respectful, giving everybody a chance and respecting everybody's voice. Now, only if it's done respectfully. Somebody comes in and starts stirring up shit and being a jerk, you're out. And I'm not even going to warn you. I'm just going to, and you're out. Yeah, the radiant sauna. Yeah, Adele, it's really cool. I know. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Some people can grow plants and it's just like in my daughter, I'm not kidding you. She comes over to my house and she'll like go out in the backyard. She loves picking stuff up and it seems like all the plants just go, oh, It's like they all just begin to sing in joyous harmony, and I'm out there, and they're all like, "God, don't look, don't make eye contact, don't make she's gonna kill us, she's gonna kill us, she's gonna kill us." And some people just have it, and some people don't. But I do, and here's the secret too, Miss Jules, maybe this will help you. Um, there's a plant that I have found that loves to be abused, and it's the pothos. It's the one with the big kind of heart shape. Whoops, I don't know. They're kind of heart shaped or this kind of shaped leaves, big, and they're usually green, but some of them have a little bit of white. Um, and they're real viney. They got the hang down vines and stuff like that. And I have had plants like that forever because they're the only ones that I can keep alive. And they're so hardy that we used to live when my kids were little, we lived out in Murrieta, California. And those of you that are familiar with California, it's way the heck out there. And we lived out there in the 80s. And so there was nothing out there. It was just all horse property. And that's what we had. We had horse property. And we were building a house out there, and there was one day that we were just getting done, and we'd gotten the windows in, we're just getting, some stuff moved in, and I brought a bunch of the plants down there just to kind of test and see how the light was, see how they're going to get along. And one of the windows didn't have a screen on it, so I had a couple plants on the windowsill. Well, the kids had come in, they're messing around, throwing their ball, and one of the plants had fell out the window face down in the middle of the summer on the hot cement. And I didn't realize it. And the poor thing sat there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours before I looked over and I was like, wait a minute, there were 3 plants sitting there and there's one missing now. I ran around the back of the house and this poor plant's sitting there and the dirt's all out of it. And I was like, oh my God, no way. So I got it and I washed it off and I, loved it. And it sat there and it kind of struggled for a little bit. And I still have that plant. And that was back in the 80s. That plant loved to get knocked around and kicked around a little bit. And I'm not kidding you. I still have that plant in my house today. So that was probably 89. So let's just say 1990 to 2000, 2010, 2000. That plant is 35 years old. And it's lucky if it gets watered. So, Jules, if you need plants that won't die on you too easily, get a pothos. It cracks me up every time I see that plant. But yeah, that some people have the green thumb, some don't. I also want to share with you, a couple of you made comments about kind of liking and I'll get back here and I'll talk about the star seed in a second too. When the Idaho thing was going on, and I had that experience where the kids came to me and stuff, I really kind of was trying to look into it and seeing if I could help. And, when you have there's a whole true crime community on YouTube that's really amazing people. They really want to help. But there's also people like me that are the intuitives, and the two don't dance together very well. The true crime people, they're kind of like, we want science, we want evidence, we want, and they're like intuitive. And a lot of them are very kind of nasty about the intuitive thing. So I don't insert myself into that whole thing. But I did buy these oracle cards. And I know they're backwards, but it's murder mystery oracle cards. Check that out. These things are so cool. And I'll tell you what, I know, Jules, isn't that cool? I still have that plant. I didn't even know they lasted that long, but I guess if you're mean to them, they stick around. Unlike what we do here. But it was kind of interesting because when I was using these cards and, kind of trying to help just in my own thing, just kind of tapping in. If anything ever comes up to me to where I know I need to say something to somebody, I know how to contact the authorities, because that's part of what we learned with AJ Barrera's thing was, how to contact the authorities and explain I'm not a wackadoodle. I'm actually a trained, experienced, certified intuitive. With training in psychology and therapy and all that kind of stuff, so that they don't think you're a noodlehead. But I was playing with these, and I'll tell you what, how this stuff is transpiring. These cards were really close. They were really close. The cards were saying something about a car, and there was a big car thing. And also, I want to tell you guys, the guy that they caught, and I don't know how many of you know anything about this case, but the guy that they caught looks exactly like the guy that I was shown. Now, granted, I was shown in him in silhouette, as if, someone was in a dark room, with a window behind them with, soft, light that would come in, kind of natural night light from outside, but not dark, dark, pitch dark, right? And this guy they have looked just like him. But I've had a lot of fun with this. So if any of you guys have any true crimes, missing persons, things that you want to do, we can use these oracle cards too. I'm kind of itching to use them. So if you guys come up with anything, you can. And make sure you guys know that you can contact me privately. You can get on Facebook. You can contact me. I don't know if there's something through YouTube that you can contact me. I know you can make comments down below. Other than the chat after the show, there's a place you guys can make comments and stuff down there if you have something that you want. Or again, like if you don't want it to be like all out in public, you can also contact me for that too. So star seeds. Who was saying they're not sure about star seeds? Star seeds. Miss Chills. You know what? I can't type. Last couple of days. Ooh, I haven't been able to type very good either. Who was asking about what stars? Oh, Karen. Starseed thing is really cool. It's kind of a phenomena, but there are people, probably all of you guys who are here, honestly. There are people that are here, beings. I'm not even going to say people because we're more than people. We're more than humans who have chosen to come into this plane of existence, this third dimensional realm from other dimensions to help with this change, this great change, this revelation, this apocalypse, which, by the way, guys, the word apocalypse means revealing, right? I just learned that. I always thought apocalypse was like end of the world. And it always like gave me like, and it isn't. It just means a revealing. It means a pulling back of the veil. So Revelations, apocalypse, a lot of people think it's the end of the world. It is not. It is just the end of a world. And if we're paying attention at all to what's going on in a world, this world, there's been a lot of really bad things that we didn't even know about. Like, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. And, some of these words are trigger words here on YouTube. So I want to be careful, but, a lot of bad things happening underneath this, kind of cool life that we were all living till, the last about 20 years when things just started getting weird. But all of that is being revealed for it to be healed and cleaned and cleared away so that we can get on with living happy, healthy, abundant, beautiful lives that we're meant to, because we're humans and that's why God created us, was to experience all this through us. This is my understanding. I don't demand that it's the truth. This is just what I understand. And so we are, as star seeds, we are very advanced beings that typically come from 12th dimension, which is the dimension of the Christ, or the Karayasata. Christ is actually a consciousness. It's not a guy that walked on the planet and got hung on the cross. His name was not Jesus Christ. He was a Christ. He came from a consciousness of pure unconditional love. And that's why his message was love one another, right? And he also understood that the God force was in him. And some people, religious and political leaders, freaked out when he was like, well, yeah, God is in me. Are you saying God is you? Well, yeah, but he didn't mean it the way they understood it, right? Freaked him out. And we all know the rest of the story. So star seeds are these really advanced people, Karen, beings who have come in, who decided to take human form, and who are here to hold love and hold light and allow ourselves to be witness to the crumbling of an old era. Isn't that cool? Some of us come in as healers, as intuitives. Many of us come in as like nurses and doctors. We come in to be first responders. A lot of the star seeds are first responders. If you are kind of our heart is a temple. It's a temple of love. Yep, absolutely. If you treat it that way, that will be your temple of your soul of love. Yeah. And so star seeds come in, usually they have a connection to a star nation. Um, and that can be Arcturus, Sirius, or Sirius, as it's sometimes called. The Lyrans. I've been really getting reconnected to the Lyrans. A lot of us have connection to Egypt, to Atlantis, to Lemuria, to some of the ancient lineages, because we were here then too. Um, a lot of us, and this is kind of interesting, a lot of us remember very vividly, whether we were actually here or we tap into that, of times of great change on our planet, like King Arthur, right? Mary Queen of Scots, um, the witch burnings, right? Henry VIII, some of the things that were happening up in Russia, the time of Tartaria, the time of the great leaders, the Chinese leaders and the samurais and all that kind of stuff. We have really vivid memories of these pivotal points in history. And oftentimes it's because we were there or we were part of a collective that was holding energy for that time too, because we come down from collective consciousness and we chose to come in to be here at this time. There's another term that's called the 144,000. It's talked about in the Bible too, and in many other writings. You know, the Bible isn't the only place that has a lot of what is in there. The Bible has information in there that is throughout a lot of other teachings. But there is a group that is called the 144,000, that it has been believed for a long time, the 144,000 were 144,000 people who were here that were going to shift the consciousness on the planet. But we're starting to find out that 144,000 might be also related to the DNA. Because I think it's Greg Braden. Don't hold me to that, but there's a book called The God Code. And there's science that is going on right now about the DNA, and we're seeing it with some of the medical stuff that we're all being faced with right now that is affecting the DNA. What is the DNA doing? Well, there is, and I don't remember what it was. I'll get that information for you. There is the number 144,000 associated with the DNA and something with the programming of the DNA, whether the DNA is programmed in a way that it matches that number or the upgrade of our DNA matches that number. Not sure, but I'll get that information if you guys are interested in it, which may be part of the reason they're messing with our DNA right now. They, whoever they are, they who shall not be named. And so why DNA is such a big thing, why all that is such a big thing. And so we're here to hold the light, to hold the love, to create communities together, to support each other as we're walking through this change. Also, Karen Lusby, we're really powerful, really, really powerful. And a lot of us are a little bit afraid of our power. A lot of us in the past lives, have kind of misused our power. I did. I have 2 lifetimes where I was not a good person, and we've all experienced that. But a lot of us have been traumatized by our own misuse of our power. And so a lot of us haven't stepped into our power. And that's a lot of what I'm doing and I'm being really, really guided to do this year, 2023, is a lot of my teachings, a lot of things I'm talking about in here, if you guys are interested. But in other things in my Wednesday night 5D meditation class and stuff, is we're talking about stepping back into the power. And it's like, oh yeah, I've stepped into my power, or there's, oh, I can feel it. I am living it. I am being it. And it's the kind of power to where we can literally shift mountains, precipitate things. It's the stuff that the yogis who sit in the caves for their entire lifetime and that can finally do like miraculous things. We are capable of that. But a lot of that is we need to get our minds back in order. We need to we need a little self-discipline and get our minds in order, get focused back on that. And there's practices for that. And that's what I teach in my other classes too. And we can talk about it a little bit here as well. We'll share with it if you guys are interested in that, because it's really cool. It's really cool. So, star seeds, really quick in the chat. Let me know how many of you guys, and I want you guys, matter of fact, I want you guys to all take a nice deep breath and just breathe in. And I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to write down the very first impetus that you get. This is a little learning to be intuitive, learning about clairvoyance, clairaudience, is the very first answer that you get. I want you to write it down, because when we use our intuition answers very quickly, and then our mind goes in and goes, was that what I thought what it was? No, it couldn't have been it. No, that wasn't what it was. And the mind takes it all away and it dissipates. So we need to learn to listen to that very first answer. So I'm going to have you guys all take a nice deep breath and just breathe in and breathe out. And then the very first answer, I want you to ask yourself, am I a starseed? And write the answer down in the chat. I want to see what you guys answer. And I know there's a little chat delay, so get it on in there. And if at first you're kind of like, I don't know, take another breath and listen to that very first whisper. And it's not going to come in, yes. It's going to come in like, yes. Right? It's going to be a whisper. Because some of you aren't used to listening, but we're going to start learning to listen here too. Listen to that intuition. So how many of you are getting me a yes? Give me your answers in the chat. I'm anticipating yeses. Yep. 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 Rosie, you are. And Jules, you guys absolutely are. And that's the thing is now I want you guys to take, yay. Look at, see, I knew it. Hi, Rev Ned. Yay. I love you too, my cosmic brother. Are you a star seed, Rev Ned? Take a nice deep breath and ask yourself, I know the answer already. But yes, you guys are. You guys are. That's why you're drawn here. And honestly, that's why you guys are drawn to me and why I'm drawn to you guys, because we're family, right? We're family, we're community. And that's why we're all kind of gathering together. And when we find each other, we feel more secure. And Adele, you said the word safe. We feel safe to kind of be able to allow that to come up, because a lot of us said, oh my God, it's 4:44 here in on Southern California. Total portal, total acknowledgement by the angelic realms of what we're talking about is in, it is real, it is whole. I love this stuff. I feel almost emotional. Yes, Saru, you are, RevNet. Yay! Miss Jules is here saying hello, Rev. So cool. And so it's important that we listen to this. I really want you guys to take this little bit and start reminding yourself every day, so I'm a star seed. Because what's going to happen? Oh, I'm getting chills. What's going to happen is now that you're like, oh my God, I'm a star seed, things are going to start popping up to remind you little things to bring your attention to it. It's like I did something with someone, and I've known for a long time I'm a star seed, and I've embraced it and everything. And I've had experiences with extraterrestrials, and I've gone on chips and the whole thing. But I never knew I was connected to these guys. And I had a conversation with someone who was talking about this and teaches about this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just went into meditation and said, if I'm connected to the Lyrans, let me know. And I'm in the meditation and it's really quiet. And all of a sudden I hear like boom, boom, like something really big walking towards me. And I see cat feet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And this like 20-foot tall white lion shows up and just kind of looks down at me like, yeah. And it was so cool. It was so cool. And that's another star seed race. The Lyrans are part of our founding races. And that's a word that we use is we're seeded. We are star seeds from many races, from many different races, because we're old, man. We've been around for a long time. Woohoo, Rosie, I love it. Stacy, yes, you are. Stacy, my starseed friend, I've known you for so long. But we're ancient. There is a study called Keylontic science. And it's like it's way if you're not a science geek, it's intense. And I'm like a semi-science geek, and I've been studying it for a couple of years, and I'm like this much into it. But I share what I got with you guys. But it's so interesting because it talks about the 900 million year history of humanity. And they've got information from these etheric, um, they're called CDT plates that are etheric plates that are not in physical form, so they can't be ruined. And they're held off planet somewhere. I think in the Ark of the Covenant has something to do with all that too. And like every couple thousand years, 3 people come onto the planet who know how to read these plates to bring the information and the wisdom. And we have somebody on the planet right now who's doing that. So all this information is coming up, and some of, not all, but some of what I have to share with you, and some of this that's happening in me as a star seed is beginning to come through me. And the last time someone was here was when Yeshua ben Joseph, our buddy Jesus, was here. He was the last CDT plate holder. And so it's kind of interesting. And it's been before that and before that, all the way back through time. And so that's why we see a lot of the repeat of the stories and the historical stories is, did they really happen, or are they stories of humanity? I think both. I think both. But that's a little bit of a tangent, but that's part of the star seed stuff, guys. It's big and it's awesome and it's magnificent. And the star seeds are connected to the ascended masters and the archangels and the angels and the great beings, the Eloi, the Seraphi, the Brennau. These new terms you guys are going to start being exposed to if you keep hanging around me, of these great races that are a part of us. They're a part of our genetics. And we also have to understand our genetics is not just a physical thing, it's an etheric thing that comes with us through our spiritual energy. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Like, we're so much more than we've been told. We're so much more than what we've ever known. And that's why star seeds are here, because we have the ability and probably made an agreement before we came in to be able to come in and be able to open to awaken the memories of that, to begin to help humanity through this time. And we have to remember, this awakening, this revelation, this apocalypse, this whatever shift, this great shift has already been going on, probably, I almost want to say since the beginning. I'm kind of etherically checking into it since the like 2000. I think the whole World Trade Center thing was kind of like the beginning of it. There was a whole lot more going on there, not just politically and all that, but spiritually and etherically and off planetly, and maybe even as far back as like Area 51 and that kind of stuff. But we're in it. I always feel like, you know, a solid 20, 25 years, but probably more like 50. And so we're in it, but it's not gonna happen overnight, it's gonna take a couple 100 years for us to really be in the golden age, but everything that we do now matters, and everything that we do now is important, and everything that we do now makes the next day a brighter day and a better day for all of life, not just humanity, because our animals are all going through it, our swimmy ones, our flying ones, our creepies and crawlies, they're all going through it, and you guys, it's not just planet Earth, it's our entire universe is going through this shift of ages, and that's why we have so much more do 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 going on right now. We don't hear a lot about it, but if you guys notice, even in mainstream news, um, they're talking about, well, they were, UFOs sighted over here and over there. It's like we can't ignore it anymore. And like you were saying, Jules, I think you were talking about people having cameras. People are filming it. And there's fakes out there. And then, the people that do the fakes, everybody wants to go, oh, everybody's fake. They're not. There's a lot of people that film that kind of stuff. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting. Yay. I love Miss Jules and Rev Ned chatting. And it's, well, yeah, and Bend up there, Adele, kind of where you are. There's a lot of ET activity. I was up there in, it was either like Red River or Blue River. I don't remember. Out of, it was Bend, Oregon, and I was also another B name one that was in the interior more. But anyways, I was up there working with some ET people about 12, 13 years ago. A lot of ET activity up there. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool because it's real. And we're ETs and we're connected to them. They're our family. So I want to ask really quick. In 3D, we have cloud storage. In our spiritual body, we also have cloud storage. Ooh. Ooh, Miss Jules. We do. That's brilliant. That is a brilliant call. We totally do, don't we? Because that's one thing with the whole cloud storage. I'm like, what cloud? Where is this cloud of which you speak? Right. And then finally, I'm just like, fine, send it to the cloud. But we do. Our cloud storage is our etheric body. It's our toroidal fields. It's our interdimensional connections, right? Connect down into Mother Earth, connect up into the etheric energies, connect all the way up into God, into the creator of this time space continuum. And here's something else that I get the energy into is, we live in this particular time matrix, but there's others. And this one is 15 dimensions that I'm aware of, part of what the Kilontics teaches, which I'm going to be teaching more about that too. So keep your ears and eyes open. I'm going to be starting on it on January 21st. I have a Secrets to Ascension class coming up if anybody's interested, and I'm gonna tiptoe into it and get it started. And then as years go by, or the couple months go by, I'm going to be teaching more and more about it, and I'll sprinkle you guys with some of it too. But yeah, that's such a great way to put it, Miss Jules. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And we're connected to other dimensions. And here's another thing. Let me sprinkle you with some other information. We aren't the only us that are here. We are fractals of our own soul, I guess is a good way to put it. And when you start studying star seeds and indigos, more star seed information, part of what the Kalontics teaches is everything is stepped down in dimension by 12s, right? And 12 times 12 is 144. Oh. And so we actually have at least 12 other us's in existence at the exact same time, all the time, in other dimensions, maybe even in other places on this planet. Have you guys heard of the concept of the doppelganger? Have you ever ran into a doppelganger? someone that looks almost exactly like you, similar mannerisms, similar voice. I ran into mine. It's the weirdest thing ever. And the only way you could tell different is that I was having my hair highlighted. And people kept going, "Oh my God, are you guys twins?" And her name even started with an M. It was so cool. It was so cool. Her voice was like mine, because I have a little bit huskier voice, a little bit deeper voice. And she did too, and she was like really strong and grounded. And we're sturdy folk, I'm heavier now, but when I was young, I was never that long, willy lithe thing. I got too much Scottish in me. I'm a solid girl. Um, but not overweight, but just, built really proportionately and strong and athletic. And she was too. And it was funny. I met her at a drum circle. It was the coolest thing. It was great. It was great. But we have the doppelgangers, and that's part of that whole thing. But we also have other aspects of ourselves in other dimensions. And if you study psychology and even Jungian psychology that talks about the different archetypes of us, because when we get into really high teachings of consciousness, there is nothing outside of us. It's all within us, right? Jung may have been tapping into that, where all the different fractal aspects of who we are the different archetypes of who we are within us. Is anybody's brain catching on fire yet? Has anybody brains short-circuited yet? Isn't this cool? This is why I wanted to hang out with you guys. I want to talk about this stuff because it's really important to kind of tap on all the stuff, because you know what happens when you chat about stuff and you talk about stuff and you hear about stuff. It starts to open your mind, and it starts to open those parts of your brain that is like, oh yeah. And maybe you don't remember what I'm talking about, but it might shake a little something up to where it's like, oh, and opens something else up, right? And also understand sometimes when that starts happening, you don't always understand it. Like you could speak it out in words, but it's an understanding that doesn't have words. And I want you guys to kind of pay attention to that. We have understand Miss Jules, you're so cute. We have understandings that aren't words. I know, isn't that trippy? And a lot of you guys have heard my little story. I'm going to share it here again because I think it's kind of a fun story about a dream, kind of a lucid dreaming thing that I had earlier in the week of a being coming in this little round bubble. And she came in totally normal looking thing, except for she was in a bubble and it came out of the ceiling. um, and she was talking to me through this chakra, which is the telepathy chakra. And I understood what she was saying, but I didn't understand it in a language that I could speak it, right? So it's like I can't tell you what she said in the language that we have, but I understood what she was telling me, but not in a way that my brain could process it to make words out of it, if that makes sense. And that's part of what we're moving into. And I think that may even be part of the what telepathy is about. Where there's an understanding, it speaks to other parts of the brain. And that's where I really, really feel like a lot of what's happening with us is there's parts of our brains that are waking up, awakening again, right? That we're going to begin using to process this new way of communicating. And we probably have all been kind of communicating it on some level, but now we're consciously beginning to accept that kind of stuff. And it may be because of this. It may be because of the technology. That may be part of it. I know, there's people that want to put chips in us to make us more connected to AI and artificial intelligence and stuff like that. That if I'm not mistaken, it opens up different parts of the brain to be used. I would rather not do it artificially. I think we have the capability of doing it organically And if we start doing it now, maybe we can stay ahead of the ones with the chips. Oh my gosh. You know what, Wahali? It could be. And I want to tell you too, Wahali, a lot of us are having, we just had this conversation in our A Million I Love You membership meeting last night. We're all having trouble with the words. And part of it is we're receiving so much information on such an accelerated level in so many different ways that the brain is, I think it's because the brain's expanding. Because, well, Holly, you have to remember, even 20 years ago, because I'm trying to think, the kids and I got our first computer we could really use like in the late 90s. So that's been like 30 years ago. So before before we computers were in every home, we weren't required to think so fast. We weren't required to know so much. We knew other things, like we remembered our own phone number, but we weren't required to have so much information in our brains. And we did not have all of this information flying through the air from computers and TVs and Wi-Fi and 5G and cell phones. And I mean, these things right here are emitting information 24/7. This computer, the TVs, how many TVs do you have in your house? How many routers do you have in your house? They're all emitting information. And so our brains are picking up on that. So, well, Holly, we can't find words because there's so much information, there's so much energy going in, and our brains haven't acclimated to it yet. So, don't be too hard on yourself when you can't find the words. When you just can't find the words. Everybody I'm talking to is having the same thing. And it's kind of funny because I've had a couple people say that it's what is the word that they use? Oh, the long-term effects from the virus, right? Long-term effects from the virus. I'm not gonna say the word, another trigger word. Um, and it's like, I don't think that's necessarily it. It might be. It could be a part of it. Who am I to say? I'm not a doctor. I just play one on YouTube. Um, and always check with your health professional. There's my disclaimer. Um, but I feel like it's just a combination of everything. So, well, Holly, yeah, don't freak out because I was freaking out too. My mom, when she got older, she kind of started just kind of going in and out of things, but she was also on massive painkillers and drank her white wine every night. And I don't do any of that kind of stuff. But I remember one time she looked at me and she said, "When I go into those other dimensions, I'm just not sure I want to come back." And I was like, "Holy crap." And, she still lived another 3 or 4 years after that. But she was going in and out of dimensions all the time. And it's that part of that thing, Holly, that I think we're doing that is part of the whole picture too, is we're going in and out of dimensions. We're bombarded with information all the time. We're in this change. We're in the shift of ages. We've got sunspots blasting. We got the Schumann resonance off the chart. We're on a roller coaster ride. It is an e-ticket fricket ride. And, we need to learn how to hold our center and be calm in the middle of this e-ticket ride. So, Holly, when you get, yeah, I know. When you feel like you can't get your words or you can't remember the word, just take a nice deep breath and just kind of let go. Whew, and it or another one that you can use in replace of it will come. And if it doesn't, just giggle at yourself and just say, "I love me. I'm so awesome." Because a lot of times when we can't find that word, we hang on really close, and we hang on really tight. And I remember when I was young, and I don't know where this was, but my grandpa used to always say, "You can't hang on to a grease pig." And whenever I think about that, about trying to like grab the words, like there it is, there it is, there it is. Crap, I can't find it. The thought always comes to my head of my grandpa's voice that goes, "You can't hold on to a greased pig." It's like you just let go of it. So the next time, well, Holly, that you can't remember your word, maybe you can remember you can't hold on to a greased pig. And that'll get you giggling, and then the word will pop right into your head. RevNet is saying, Miss Jules, there are holy people that can communicate all over the earth. Yeah, that's what a wonderful being with Michelle. Oh, yeah, that is. It's so wonderful to be with all of us. You know, the Aborigine down in Australia. I can't remember what they are. RevNed, you probably know what their name is. Hey, Christy. Rosie's here. They can communicate all over the planet, and they do it by being able to connect into what I call timelines. Okay, I know other people have other words, but there are timelines. There are lines of energy that crisscross all over the place, and that's one of the things that the Tartaria and the wisdom of Tesla's stuff, the spires and the collecting the ethers, you know, it's tapping into the ley lines on the planet, water, right? And the energy that crisscrosses and follows a ley line type thing in the air too. Um, and I don't think you have to have your spire right where they cross, because gets drawn in. But you'll also notice that a lot of the buildings everybody had fountains all over the place and running water all over the place. Well, that was all part of that technology too. Water needing to run creates electrical energy. And you have earth, you have magnetics, you have water, you have electricity, you have electromagnetic, and that is life and can run anything at all, as long as you can produce enough of it. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Oh my gosh, there's so much more. And you know, and this is the thing too. Thank you for saying that, RevNed. There is so much more, because here's the thing is, a lot of times when I'm talking to you like this, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know it until I speak it, and then I speak it and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Some of it I know, you know, because I've said things over and over. But a lot of times when we do this, which is why I love doing this, because it opens up a space for you guys to do the same thing. Because we're all sitting here together creating a space, creating a community for you to feel, and I hope that you feel safe here, that you feel heard, healed, that you realize that you're important and you're valuable, and that you're loved here, and that we can open up and talk about this, because so many of us have all this stuff and we have nowhere to go to talk about it. And some of us want to learn so bad, we have nowhere to go to talk about it. And all of us have so much inside that we just want to, like, just let me fill up, just let me fill up, just let me fill up. And that's why we're doing it. That's why I'm doing it. And that's why I'm trying to make it organized and easy, that to make it we can get it done. No, Adele, it's not automatic writing, because that's kind of more channeling. I don't get any of my information from an outside source. It is all my own inner wisdom. Oh, my leg is getting pinchy. I've been up in this chair for no, I allow my inner source that is connected to the God source to transmit whatever needs to be said. It's like a transmission. Um I'm really careful. I've never really been into channeling. I used to use that word, but that isn't what it is, because there's nothing outside of me that I need to channel. I need to bring up the wisdom that is already me and give it a space to speak. And move beyond my brain that I identify with as me. Isn't that weird? That was weird just even coming out of my mouth. um, yeah, because the thinking mind is kind of what we identify with. The wisdom that is coming up from within, from the eternal now, kind of moves beyond that. So I guess some people might kind of call it channeling. I think we have to be careful about channeling because you never want to channel from something outside of yourself because you don't know if it's light or dark, you know, unless you do all the shishu bop doo wops to make sure. And I just found, and I was actually instructed when I was kind of doing channeling, and I was like channeling Archangel Michael and Metatron and Toth and all this stuff. And I had an awareness through some plant medicine that it's all within me. Why do I have to talk to an angel out there or a being out there? All that wisdom is within me. And that was a huge shift in me, my life, my consciousness, and the work that I do that only happened a few years ago. It only happened a few years ago. And you guys all have that too. And when you begin to shift your awareness to, oh, I need something from out there, which is giving your power away, right? To, oh my God, I have it all in here. I'm going to allow it to rise up. It's a totally different deal. It's a totally different deal. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Rosie, for being here. Thank you for sharing your gifts. You guys are going to be on the other side of the fence here, when we get going. And, this is a place for you guys to share too. And like I said, and ask questions. And this is so lovely to have all of you guys here because we got this beautiful, loving base of people. You guys are all kind of familiar with each other anyways, right? Because you guys show up and support and are here and are involved, and it's so cool. It's so cool. So we have this wonderful community that's already starting. So make sure that you're subscribed, and the subscription thing, I had a couple of people contact me and they're like, I can't afford to subscribe. Subscription is free. All it is you're just marking that you like this channel. That's all it is. It's no big deal. And then like the video, because what that does is it tells YouTube that you like it. That's where you do that so that they'll put the videos out to more people, because we want people to hear this stuff. There's a lot of people that are so hungry about the stuff that we already know, and so we want to support the people that are looking for a place to learn and to grow and be a part of that. And we'll come in and you guys get to share what you know. You guys get to share your wisdom too. This isn't just about me. Also, another thing that I'm going to be doing is I am going to be having guests on here to come in and talk. And if any of you guys want to talk about something, you can get on here with me too. I just heard a deep in breath. No. And so, yeah. Or if you guys have anybody kind of interesting that'd be cool, that would be interested in coming on, bring them on. This is our show. This is not my show. If you would love to have somebody like I'm going to have Jillian on in a couple, we're going to talk about the ET thing. I was thinking of, I have it written down somewhere, someone else who's like really interesting, and see if we can get them on. Ooh, I'm thirsty. I've had the electric heater on all day. And so let me know. Let me know if you guys have something that you want to talk about, you want to come on, something you want to talk about, get a hold of me. And let's put this thing together. Let's make this really, really fun. And let's hang out. Let's hang out. So next week, I'm going to kind of try to figure out what we're doing. But I think next week, what I really want to do is dig deeper into the starseed thing and really go in. And I'm going to put together some questions. I just didn't have it ready. If I have to think off the cuff, I'm like, Holly, where I'm like, I forget. So I'll get it organized. But like the different things that for you to really know that you're a starseed, some of the things that happen, some of the things that you maybe experience, how it comes around, because starseeds usually have a particular beginning in their lives too that aren't always easy. A lot of people think, oh, you're a starseed. It's like, yeah, it's a It's not quite as glamorous as it sounds, right? The more advanced people aren't necessarily brought in with easy lives, and that's okay, and that's why we need each other. When we start waking up, we really need each other because we need people that are compassionate to hardship, and there's nothing more compassionate than someone who's already been through it. We need people to understand too, and there's so many people that still just don't speak their truth because they think they're the only ones. And if anybody is listening, whether live or later it's out there, is you are not alone. You are not alone. There's so many people that are beautiful, dear souls that have been through, the fiery pits of hell and who have lived through it, who have been here, and we're looking for you. We're looking for you. Come on. Come join our party. Come be a part of this. Come be a part of all these beautiful people that are here because we're about love. And that's why my membership program is called A Million I Love Yous. I was given direction a couple years ago to bring A Million I Love Yous out into the world. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? And they said, start a group, start a mission. And I do that and I charge a little bit. It's $33 a month. And you get the weekly meditation and a monthly meeting and get discounts and all kinds of stuff. And to start gathering people together who come from the heart. Because when our heart is centered and we feel loved and nurtured and we're able to love and nurture, that's when that million I love yous goes out into the world. When we take care of ourselves in a truly loving way, our love flows out into the world. And that's how we're all going to get through this. That's what's going to heal everything. I know you're so shy, Rep Ned, but you're going to get on here at one point or another, sir. Man, am I bossy. So we'll see RevNet up here. And I don't know if you guys have seen our Bridge Walker show. We do once a month. And it's usually like the first or second Tuesday. We're going to have to nail that down, RevNed. We are we have our show called The Bridge Walker, and it's a shift from what I normally do into we talk about like ancient sacred wisdom and earth wisdom. And right now we have Dana Sparks joining us, who's doing some Native American song and some drumming and bringing some really, really earth-based grounded wisdom in. And we've got the glorious Reb Ned, of course, and brings in his amazing, oh my God, his videos are so good. He makes us a video every month to share with us and his wisdom and his love, just his pure love. And I just sit there and just like, ah, between these two beautiful angel men. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing something too. And so you can join us too. I'll be getting that information up on my calendar, and you guys, all the information you need about wherever I am or any of my buddies like Rev Ned is on my calendar on michele.amburgey.com. So you guys can always figure out what's going on so you don't miss anything, because I have something going on every single day during the week. So like Tuesday through Saturday, I do give myself a couple of days off. Sunday and Monday are my days off. Monday is marketing day. Sunday is painting day. So that's the day that I paint. You can't have my painting day. So I love you guys. This was really fun. I hope you see the potential in continuing this. And it is as wonderful as you guys put into it too. So don't be afraid to through the next week to think of some things that you might want to talk about or share or anything, and get a hold of me. You can get me on email at michele.amburgey at gmail.com. You can text me. You can go to my website, michele.amburgey.com. It's pretty easy to find me. And you just Google me, and I'm like the first 57 pages of Google. I've been here for a long time. And let me know. Let me know if you want to talk about something, if you want to be on the show, if you have somebody you want to be on the show, if you have a topic, if you just want to kind of, need to share about something or something. Bring it on. Let's do this, okay? Also, if you need a private session, you can also do that on my website too. I do pay my own bills. I don't have anybody support me, So this is how I make my living. So if you want to support me, you can. So I love you guys. Stay sparkly. It is Friday night and I ain't got nobody. I got some money because I just got paid. I'm gonna go play with my kitty cat. And he's sleeping. I love you guys. Everybody have a really good weekend. Stay good, stay loving, stay sparkly, and know that I love you very, very much. If you need me, I'm here for you. Mwah. You guys be good. Stay sparkly.